Previously, I went and found the top 10 Wonderkids from Football Manager 2015. But unfortunately, not all of their careers panned out in the way that FM15 thought they might. So now I am going back into Football Manager 2024, and we are picking 3 Wonderkids from the FM15 video, and we are going to attempt to revive the end stages of their career. And the 3 former Wonder Kids who we are going to be looking at reviving their careers are Adnan Januzaj, Gabriel Barbosa, and Maximilian Meyer. Back in Football Manager 2015, Adnan Januzaj was still at Manchester United and he had just broken through into the first team squad. At the time, he had a current ability of 142 and a hard-coded potential ability of 175. But a lot has changed since then, and his current ability in FM24 is just 130. It's fair to say that perhaps Adnan Januzaj, despite still having a successful career, hasn't had the career that FM15 thought he would have. Given that he had a hard-coded potential of 175, he was expected to be almost at the level of Rodri. He hasn't quite hit those heights just yet. And perhaps the most disappointing part of Adnan Januzaj's career thus far has been that he's only won just the one Community Shield winners medal. He also has a relegation from the Prem on his CV, and although he did finish in the third place in the World Cup and was a Turkish Cup runner-up, he only has a first place medal in the Community Shield. No leagues, no cups to show for his career so far. Our next former Wonder Kid is Maximilian Meyer. By the time FM 2015 had come around, Maximilian Meyer had broken through and was doing really well for Schalke in the Bundesliga. At the time, he had a 141 current ability and a hard-coded potential ability of 172, potentially making him one of the best players in the world. However, in FM24, his current ability is just 129. He's another player who unfortunately doesn't have many winners' medals to show for his career. He did finish second in the Bundesliga in 2018, and he did win a Danish Cup with FC Midtjylland. But looking at his attributes now, it's fair to say that his career also hasn't quite turned out as FM15 might have thought it would. And our final player is Gabriel Barbosa. The Brazilian striker has arguably been one of Football Manager's most coveted signings for about 10 years now. But unfortunately in real life, despite having sky-high potential in FM15 and beyond, he just hasn't quite ever made it in Europe. And while he has had an absolutely extraordinary career in Brazil, really making a name for himself at Fluminense, his one stint at Inter and Benfica just makes me feel like we can get a little bit more from Gabriel Barbosa in a European league. So for each of these 3 Wonder Kids, while we can't go back in time and change what happened in their careers, we can try to make the most of the careers that they have left. So for each player, I'm going to act as an agent, and I'm going to try to get them to move to a club that will maximize what they have left in their careers. And for each player, I have a specific goal in mind to try to make the rest of their career as successful as it can be. For Adnan Januzaj, given that he doesn't have a history of winning a lot of trophies, I want Adnan Januzaj to win a league and win a cup. For Max Meyer, I want the same thing. I want to add some league and cup wins to this resume. But the other thing I want to do is, given that he's only making at this point £3,500 per week, I think we can also maximize his contract earnings. And finally, for Gabi Barbosa, I want to find a team for him to where he can be successful and score double-digit goals in a European league. So I'm going to generate moves for Januzaj that will allow him to win trophies, for Max Meyer that's going to maximize his contract and allow him to be the central focus on a team that's winning trophies. And finally, for Gabriel Barbosa, I'm going to send him to a European club where I think he can be successful. And these are the moves that I have decided to go with. Starting off with Adnan Januzaj, I have decided to send him to Seoul in South Korea, where he is going to be teaming up with another former Manchester United winger in Jesse Lingard. So I made a couple of decisions on deciding to send Adnan Januzaj to Seoul. One, Seoul is a team that has established that they'll sign a player like this, so I thought having him team up with Jesse Lingard would give them both the best possible chance to success. But I also felt like I needed to send Januzaj away from a European league. I wanted to be on a team where he can be successful and be one of the main players. And something I'm really worried about is at this point, Adnan Januzaj is 29 years old. His natural fitness is only 7. His pace for a winger is just 12, and his strength is 9. So while he has pretty good technical and mental attributes, at this point his physical attributes are not so good, and they're going to deteriorate pretty quickly. So I wanted to send him to a league where his physical attributes might not matter so much, where he could still be really successful, and Seoul are one of the best teams in South Korea, so it's going to give him a chance to potentially win a league and cup. And I felt like it just made sense to send him on a team where Jesse Lingard is there. There's a precedent for this move. It's two former Manchester United players who can link up together, who maybe they didn't reach the heights that they necessarily wanted to, but now they can team up together and do really well at Seoul. At this point, Seoul are projected to finish in third according to the season preview, but I think there will be a good opportunity for Januzaj and Lingard to team up, and hopefully over the next couple of seasons, they'll find a way to win a league. They'll also have the opportunity to potentially play in the Asian Champions League, so there's a lot of opportunities for Januzaj to be successful at this club. Next up, we have Maximilian Meyer, and I have decided to send him to Shanghai Port in China. So again, there are a couple of things that I was trying to do with Maximilian Meyer. One of them was to maximize the amount of money that he is going to earn for the rest of his career. And with £35,000 per week, he's making almost 10 times what he was making previously. So I think moving to China and a league with a lot of money is going to give him the opportunity to earn more money than he otherwise might have. The other thing is too, Shanghai Port play 4-2-3-1 with their current manager, so Max Meyer could play in the central mid positions or in any of the attacking mid positions, so it gives him a lot of places to play. And just like with Adnan Januzaj, to where I was sending him to a team with a precedent with Jesse Lingard, I am sending Max Meyer to another team that has a precedent of signing European players, as Shanghai Port is where Brazilian Oscar is. So this will give Max Meyer the opportunity to team up with another former Football Manager Wonderkid, and they'll see if they can do well in the Chinese Super League. The Chinese Super League is already in play. They're about halfway through the season. I have allowed Max Meyer to be registered as part of this, but Shanghai Port are currently in second, 1 point behind Changchun in first. But I feel like Max Meyer might be able to help turn things around. And our final player is Gabriel Barbosa, who I've decided to send to the Premier League with Fulham. The reason that I've chosen Fulham is they don't really at this point have an established forward. They have Raul Jimenez, Rodrigo Muniz, Carlos Vinicius, none of whom are particularly established in the Fulham starting 11. And if I'm being honest, I think Gabriel Barbosa is better than all of those players. Given that, Fulham also play a generally attacking style. Marco Silva likes to play a 4-2-3-1. He has wing play in the game. He's generally an attacking style coach. He's got 15 attacking for coaching. So all that together, I think is going to suit Gabriel Barbosa really well. He should have the opportunity to be the lone forward and the established starting forward in a top 5 European league on a team that plays generally attacking football. I think this is going to give him the opportunity to score at least 10 goals in a European top 5 league and prove that he can play at this level. So those are the moves that I have made for our 3 players. Let me know, would you guys do anything differently? Would you guys send them to these clubs? Do you think these are good clubs or bad clubs for them to go to? Let me know what you guys think. But right now, I'm going to simulate forward. Let's see how they all do after season 1. All right, we are 1 year into the future, and let's see how we've done. We're going to start with Mr. Adnan Januzaj, who interestingly enough is wanted by Vissel Kobe in Japan. So that either means he's done really well or possibly that he's also done very poorly. And I'm inclined to go with he's done very poorly, or at least very mid. So at the end of last season, he had 14 appearances and he only got 3 assists. And at the beginning of this past season, he has 11 appearances and nothing to show for it. However, Seoul did win the K-League last season. So Adnan Januzaj does have a trophy in his trophy cabinet now. So we have crossed off one thing from what we wanted to do for his career. It looks like tactically, though, they've gone to a very defensive formation. It's Lingard and Januzaj in the middle. They are still together, partnering each other, but without having wide players, this might not really suit either of them. It may explain why Adnan Januzaj doesn't really have many goals or assists at this point. Even though the tactic may not suit Januzaj and he's not doing particularly well at the moment, they have won the league and they will be in the AFC Champions League Elite, which means Januzaj will have his chance to do really well in Champions League competition. So we could move him, but at the moment, I think we keep him at Seoul and see how things progress. Now let's move to Max Meyer, who we sent to China with Shanghai Port, where he is with Oscar. And looking at how he did towards the end of last season, a little bit better than Januzaj, 17 matches and 4 assists, but he's had a difficult start to this season. I'm not going to lie, this doesn't particularly surprise me because his adaptability is only 9. And I want to keep him at Shanghai Port for a while, so he should adapt to the country over time. He's only 29, and we have him in a league to where I think he could play until he's 32, 33. So I think he's got a little bit of growing pains right now, but I think he will improve. And sure enough, last season, Shanghai Port won the Chinese Super League. Just like Seoul, they've won by 1 point. So we do have Max Meyer with a league trophy. The only other really interesting bit of news here is that Oscar has left and he has gone to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia, which means that in the 4-2-3-1, Maximilian Meyer is now the central focus of the team. So I really like this because it's going to allow our former Wonder Kid the opportunity to be the central focus on a really good team playing in the Champions League. This is exactly what I wanted for Max Meyer. And finally, let's see how we're doing with Gabriel Barbosa. So at this moment, 14 goals! 14 goals in the Prem. This is exactly what we were looking for. And 37 appearances. So in season 1, he was in fact the starting forward for Fulham, a team that looks like they finished in 13th in the English Premier Division last season. And Gabriel Barbosa is in fact the main man. And last season, Gabriel Barbosa was tied for 6th for the most goals in the league. He got 14 league goals, tied for 6th. That is a player who is proving that he can score goals in the Prem. Unfortunately, Gabriel Barbosa is the only player in our Wonder Kids so far who didn't win anything, but he is also back in the Brazil national team apparently, which I don't think he was when we started. He is playing games for Fulham. He got 14 goals this season and he got 15 goals overall. So I think this is a really good start for Gabriel Barbosa. So far, I would say season 1 has been moderately successful. I think we've definitely had success with Gabriel Barbosa. 14 goals is exactly what we're looking for. Max Meyer, I think we're trending towards success. We have to get over his adaptability concerns, but again, he's making money and he's winning trophies. And now that Oscar is left, he can be the central focus of the team. The only one I'm worried about a little bit is Adnan Januzaj. We'll see if he ends up making this move to Vissel Kobe, but with the more defensive formation and with him playing in central midfield, I'm just a little bit worried that his career might not pan out so well, especially given that his physical attributes are really deteriorating. But let's once again move 1 year into the future and see how these players are doing. Well, after 1 year into the future, unfortunately, Adnan Januzaj is struggling. He's actually currently transfer listed by FC Seoul. He has unfortunately really struggled in South Korea. He has not scored a goal in 2.5 seasons. He's got 4 assists, and his average ratings are continuing to get worse. So far, we just have the K-League Championship to show for it. Seoul, though, did make the Champions League Elite quarterfinal, and Adnan Januzaj didn't even play in that match. Max Meyer, on the other hand, had a very successful Season 2 playing for Shanghai Port. 29 matches, but 6 goals, 4 assists. This is a player who's definitely improving. And we've seen him add a few trophies to his trophy cabinet. After winning the Chinese Super League in Season 1, he has gone on to win another Chinese Super League title, as well as two Chinese FA Super Cups. And while Shanghai Port are only in fourth position in the Chinese Super League this season, Max Meyer continues to be the central focus of a team doing well in the league, of a team in the Champions League, and he's making a ton of money. But finally, Gabriel Barbosa is a little bit of an interesting case. After scoring 14 goals last season, he played 30 matches this season, but only has 6 league goals. And last season, Fulham finished in 10th position, which is a really good finish for Fulham, but I have a feeling we might be able to do a little bit better with Gabriel Barbosa. As we move towards reviving the end stages of these players' career, I would say Max Meyer we are super successful with so far. He's flourishing in a team that's doing well in the league. He's winning trophies. He's making money. I'm super happy with Max Meyer. Adnan Januzaj, though, is a little bit of a worry. His career is trending down at the moment, and we need to find a way to really revitalize that. And Gabriel Barbosa is another interesting one. Do we keep him at Fulham, or do we make a move? And I have decided to make some moves. I have sent Gabriel Barbosa to Tottenham Hotspur. So why are we sending him to Spurs? First of all, Ange Postecoglou is still the manager, and Postecoglou is a very attacking manager, which works well for Gabriel Barbosa. But secondly, they don't really have a starting forward right now. Right now, Son Heung-min is starting up top, but that isn't his best position. In game, Dominic Solanke is leaving the club. Dan Scarlett is a youngster who's not great. And Alejo Veliz is a youngster who's definitely still a work in progress. But Gabriel Barbosa is better than all of those players. So Tottenham need a forward. Gabriel Barbosa has shown that he can play up top as a lone striker in this league and get double-digit goals. So I think we're in a good spot here. The other reason I've chose Tottenham is that in game, they have shockingly won the FA Cup final. So even though they only finished in 8th position, they have qualified for the Europa League. And in Football Manager, English clubs do well in the Europa League. I think this gives a really good opportunity for Gabriel Barbosa to not only do well in a top 5 European league, but to also win a European trophy. And finally, the other move I have made is Adnan Januzaj, and I've decided to send him to the MLS in America with the LA Galaxy. I'm going to be real with you all, I had no idea what to do with him. I did think about sending him to Inter Miami, but I felt like that would be kind of cheating, and also Inter Miami doesn't have Messi anymore, so I didn't know how good they would be. But I felt like there was precedent to send him to the LA Galaxy. He can go up top with another former Wonderkid and Ricky Puig, and they do play a 4-4-2, but I think he could play out on the wings here. Honestly, I'm a little bit worried about the trajectory for the rest of Adnan Januzaj's career. I didn't want to drop him too low in the leagues. I wanted him to be able to go to a league where he might make money and where he could potentially win a trophy. So we sent him to the LA Galaxy. I mean, they're a good team in the MLS. They could potentially play a more attacking style that could be good for him. He still has good technical and mental attributes. It's just his physicals are really waning. I'm very concerned that his career is going to go seriously downwards because of these physical attributes. Well, those are the moves that we have made moving into Season 3. Barbosa and Januzaj have both made moves. Meyer is staying in the Chinese Super League with Shanghai Port. I'm pretty confident with Barbosa. I'm not too confident with Januzaj. Let's see if what I feel is correct. Well, guys, I failed with Adnan Januzaj. He has now moved to Antwerp, and he is back in Belgium. He did not play for the LA Galaxy. He literally never played. That was a terrible move on my part. He has since gone back to Belgium. He has 39 appearances, but only a 6.43 average rating. Looking at him, I don't know what else we're going to get from Adnan Januzaj, but at least sending him back to Belgium at this point might be the right move. On the other hand, though, sending Gabriel Barbosa to Spurs was a huge success. He got 15 league goals, 16 goals overall, and he averaged above a 7 rating. And in the Prem this season, Gabriel Barbosa was the tied 5th top scorer in the league, and he was only 3 goals off of being the top scorer. So I would say he had a really good season. But the best part of this season was Tottenham won the Europa League final, and Gabriel Barbosa had a huge impact on making the Europa League final because in the semi-final first leg, Spurs won 2-0 away from home and then went down 2-0 at home before Gabriel Barbosa popped up in the 88th minute to send Spurs to the Europa League final. Which means that in addition to scoring double digit goals twice in the Prem, we can also add a Europa League trophy to Gabriel Barbosa's trophy cabinet. And finally, we have Maximilian Meyer, who is definitely getting worse attribute wise, but he is still doing quite well in China. So after a tough start last season, he ended up with 7 goals and an assist. And this season, he's had another tough start, but he has shown that towards the end of the season, he can do really well. And Shanghai Port continue to win the Chinese Super League and continue win the Chinese FA Super Cup. And they continue to be happy with his contract. He's still making £35,000 per week. So overall, I would say we're 2 for 3 for revitalizing players' careers so far. Gabriel Barbosa has done really well, and now he has a trophy and he's scoring goals. Maximilian Meyer is doing fantastically well in the Chinese Super League, but we've really struggled with Adnan Januzaj. All right, I've moved forward another season to the end of season 4, and we're definitely on the downturn now. Adnan Januzaj is retiring. Yeah, it's the right time to retire. His physicals have really deteriorated. He has not played at all for Antwerp in the Jupiler Pro League, and he is now retiring at the end of this season. Gabriel Barbosa's season took an interesting turn because at the beginning of last season, he was not doing so well, so Spurs decided to send him on loan to Fulham. So he's actually going back to the first team he was with in the Prem, and that loan includes a deal to buy, so he's actually joining Fulham permanently. It's interesting because he won the Europa League and the UEFA Super Cup, and he was doing really well for them. I mean, in his only season at the club, he scored 15 league goals, but they've decided now to send him back to Fulham. And I guess Fulham liked him so much, they decided to bring him back. I think they've sold him because Tottenham signed a new youngster, Federico Riquelme, who does look like a really good youngster. And I guess he's the one that drove Barbosa out of the club. And finally, Maximilian Meyer looks like he's ready to go home. He is currently unhappy in transfer list at the club. He's unhappy because he wants to return to Germany. But I would say his career in China so far has been extremely successful. He's played lots of matches in every season. He's scored a bunch of goals. He's had solid assists and solid average ratings. In the past 4 years, he has made some serious money. And he has continued to rack up Chinese FA Super Cups and Chinese Super League trophies. So overall, I'm really happy with how Max Meyer has done. But we're definitely getting towards the end of this now. I'm going to move forward to the end of this experiment and let's take a look back on everything as a whole. So we are now forward to 2028 and we are at the end of the simulation. So at 33 years old, Maximilian Meyer is going to be retiring. After he left China, I decided to send him to Luzern in Switzerland. It was a club that he had previous experience with, so I thought it made sense to send him back there at a level that was really good for him. It was also a place where he had been really successful, 29 appearances and 11 goals in the league, so I thought it made sense to send him back there. And he had a really good one season at the club, 15 appearances, but 4 goals and 5 assists, so he had a nice little swan song to end his career. He didn't win anything there, and pretty much everything we've got for him is winning in China, but honestly, I'm really happy with how Max Meyer's career has ended up going. As we saw previously, Adnan Januzaj retired the last time we saw him. The experiment was a little bit less successful with him, unfortunately. But on our final season with Gabriel Barbosa, he got 10 league goals for Fulham, 28 appearances, 10 goals, and once again a 7.06 rating. I have actually simulated forward past this, and at the end of this transfer window, Fulham actually end up selling him back to Brazil. So I thought it made sense to end the experiment here, given our goal was to get Gabriel Barbosa to do really well in Europe, and I think he's done exactly that. I'd say Gabriel Barbosa's time in the Premier League was really successful. We've got 3 seasons from him where he scored 10 or more goals in the league, including 2 seasons of 15 and 14 goals. We've had multiple seasons above a 7.0 average rating. And we got him to win the UEFA Europa League and the UEFA Super Cup. At now 32 years old, I think we have revitalized the end of Gabriel Barbosa's career, and we have shown that he is a quality player who can, in fact, do the deed in Europe. So, did we end up revitalizing these Wonder Kids' careers? I'd say for Max Meyer, we did. The goal for Max Meyer was money and trophies. And looking at his biography, we got money. He was making £35,000 per week. And we have 8 winners' medals now, but with most of those winners' medals being the Chinese Super League and the Chinese FA Super Cup. So overall, I think we did exactly what we wanted to do with Max Meyer. After an extremely successful career for Gabriel Barbosa in Brazil, we wanted him to have a similarly successful career in Europe. And I'd say we've shown that Gabriel Barbosa can do it in Europe. He won the UEFA Europa League and the UEFA Super Cup, and we had 3 seasons where he scored 10 or more goals in the Prem. I think we'll take that. But Adnan Januzaj is perhaps where we failed. We tried to send him to Seoul, and although he did win a K-League, he wasn't really a big part of that, and his career ended up just taking a huge downturn from there. So while Gabriel Barbosa and Max Meyer we were successful with, we were very unsuccessful with Adnan Januzaj. So that is the experiment. Let me know how you guys think I did. Let me know if you guys would have done anything differently, or if you would have sent them to different clubs and how you would have managed their careers. I think we could have definitely done better with Januzaj. I don't know. Let me know how you guys think we could have done better. But that is our attempt to revive 3 Wonder Kids careers from FM 2015. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are doing well and taking care of yourselves. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.